So William Booth and his Salvation Army. So William Booth was born in Snayton in the Nottingham, and he is the second son of 5 children born to Samuel Booth and Mary Moose. So Booth's father was relatively wealthy by the standards of the time, but during William's Booth childhood, the family descended into poverty in 1842. So Samuel Booth decided he was not able to pay his son's fees, so he made him as an apprentice to work as a pawnbroker at the age of 13. Then, after 2 years into his apprentice, Booth was converted. He then read extensively and trained himself in writing and in speech. So, becoming a Methodist local preacher, Booth was encouraged to be an evangelist primarily through his best friend, Will Sampson. So Will Sampson and Booth began in the 1840s to preach to the poor and the sinners of the Nottingham. But Booth would probably have remained as Sampson's partner in his new mission, which is Salvation Army. So, as Sampson titled it, if Sampson had not died because of tuberculosis. So, his friend died because of tuberculosis in the year 1849. So that's the basic introduction. Like he started as an apprentice in the year in 13 years, and then he started to believe Christ, and then he started his journey from there. Next slide, brother. Okay, so the place where he was living, William Booth, he was grown in Victorian England. So in those days, like it was very difficult. Like the conditions were not good. So the rich got richer, but the poor got poorer. So many people could not afford to pay for medical treatment. So even if they were sick, so they if they even go to the work, so they won't get paid. So children as young as 8 years old had to work up to 14 hours a day. So where people were paid unfair wages, and there was no way out of poverty. So which this thing, like the poverty has affected him very much. So he made a promise to God. So when he has converted at the age of 13, and quite soon he made a promise to God after seeing seeing the poverty around him. So he made a promise to God stating like, God shall have all is of William Booth. So he made a promise to God. So this was one of the important moments in his life, and helps to understand what he went on to do. So that is one of the important stage in his life. So he decided like what to do in his future. So in the following years, he just moved to England and become a Methodist minister and got married, and he has got 8 children. So next slide, brother. So he has married to a Catherine, so who is also a woman who wanted to serve God. So Catherine supported William in his work and looked after the children, but she did much more than that. So one of the important things that inspired William Booth by his wife's work was she was a preacher herself, which was very unusual for a woman at that time. So during in the 18th centuries where they were living, like they were not allowed women to come out, or so they were not given freedom to do so. But William Booth's wife was managed to preach herself, which was very unusual at the time, and she believed women should have equal rights to men. So later she designed the flags. Like William Booth created an army so that it could help who is suffering due to poverty. So she designed the flag and parts of uniform of the Salvation Army. So she worked with alcoholics and started her own campaigns to help poor and needy. So she also gave a very big helping hand to William Booth's journey. So she was a part of his Salvation Army. And so one important thing that happened in Catherine Booth's life, she was named as an army mother. So as she fought, as she helped the needy, and as she also helped for the women's rights, So she was named as an army mother when she died in 1890. So as she helped many of the poverty people and the needy people, so his funeral was one of the largest that Victorian has ever seen. So the Christian mission. So as William Booth has saw the poverty and needy during his lifetime, so he was traveling, as he is a Methodist preacher. He used to travel all over the England. So in one of his travel, so in one evening in 1865, he was preaching outside a pub in East End of London, and some Christians invited him to preach in a large tent. So he then realized, like at that point, he realized that he don't want to preach people who went to church regularly, like every Sundays or something, but he just chosen who did not go to church, who needed to hear God's message. So Booth realized that he has found his destiny, like to preach as well as to help the needy and the poverty in his life. So soon after, he formed his own movement. So the incident that made him to create a Christian mission. So he created a new mission called Christian Mission. So which will teach about Lord, which will teach about Lord to the people who are non-believers or who have not accepted the Christ, and also to help the poor people who were suffering with no food or no shelter or so many things. So who really requires help. So he was inspired that, and he has created a mission called Christian Army. So after in the 1878, so like with his wife and his friends, so he renamed the Salvation Christian Mission into Salvation Army in the 1878, which is still till date it is still existing, and it is helping many poor people. So it started, like as he started helping the needy people, so his name and his fame started spreading all over the place rapidly. So people were inspired by the idea of an army. So he just created this army in the theme of military quasi, so which would be very brave and which would solve the people's issues very soon. Like they used to approach each and every needy people house. They used to go to the members who are present in this mission. They started going to each and every needy people's house, and they provided the help that they required. So when he was helping, like he was also had, when he was preaching, he also had a passion for the poor. So he realized that he would not listen to his message if they were cold and hungry. So he believed that God wanted him to help to people, those for the people he was preaching. So he just thought, like to help them really when they are in need. So he expanded his army through that. Next slide, brother. And so with the help of that, so he decided to help. With the help of his son Bramwell, William Booth began to set up cheap food stores, shelters from the homeless to sleep, and he also provided breakfast for the poor children. So as I earlier mentioned, like the members of the Salvation Army would also visit the elderly and sick in their homes. However, Booth still wanted to do more, so he wanted to find permanent solution for the poverty. So the main motto of this Salvation Army is, one side he has to preach, and on the other side is he has to help the needy people. Next slide, brother. So as he came to know that the people were provided with less wages, they were not provided leaves even if they were sick. So they were no any proper there were no proper facilities that were provided to them. So he decided in 1880, he just discovered that match factories were paying low wages, not giving the workers tea or lunch breaks, and using dangerous chemicals which causes death. So in 1890, so Booth decided to set up his own factory. So he just, so that with the safe chemicals and which paid wages to the workers, like fair wages to the workers. So he also campaigned for a change in the law and encouraged shopkeepers to stock his matches. So all the other match factories were faced to improve their conditions after seeing Booth's facilities that he provided in his own factory, so that they go out of business. And so Booth was able to close his factory, having achieved the same. So his main motto is not to expand the business. So the other industries have to understand that the people have to be respected equally. They have to given their rights. So for what they work. So he just created a business, and he also made other businessmen to understand that they are not doing correctly. And with his practice, so he made all the things right, which made the other businessmen to correct their business. So when he also published a book in 1890 which explained his plan for a whole program of social reform. So the book name, it is called as Darkest England on the Way Out. So he also planned to set up a farm colony where the poor and destitute could learn new things and get back into employment. So he also set up a missing person bureau where people could find lost relatives. He created more hostels for the homeless and set up a poor man's bank to give loan for workers, so to set up a trade. So he created a mission. So he provided all the facilities that they can get easily. And so also he can help the poor people who were really in need. So he just provided shelter, food, job, and all those things who were really in need. So that book has all the information about the Salvation Army. So 9 years later, the Salvation Army had served 27 million cheap meals, like traced 18,000 missing people, provided shelter for 11 million homeless people, and found jobs for 9,000 unemployed people. So William Booth's last speech was at the Royal Albert Hall in London. He is reported to have spoken these words like, "And now, comrades and friends, I must say goodbye. Like, I'm going into dry dock for repairs, but the army will not be allowed to suffer either financially or spiritually or in any way that in his absence. And in long future, I think it will be seen, I shall not be here to see, but you will, that the army will answer every doubt and banish every fear and strangle every slander, and by its marvelous success show the world that it is the work of God, and that the general has been his servant." So one of the important note, or one of the important theme that they had, like Booth and his wife Catherine had, is like they were concentrating on each and every parts, not only on poverty, so women's equality and God's preaching, and also for the shelter, food, so all those things. So they have created a theme like, while women weep as they do, they said like he will fight when little children go hungry as they do, they will fight. When men go to prison in and out, they fight. When there is one drunkard left, there is poor lost girl upon the streets, while there remains one dark soul without the light of God. So I'll fight to the very end. So as his Salvation Army is mainly based on the military quest, so he fought for each and every needs that required for his people. So that is his main theme. And finally, so he died in the year 20th August 1920. So by that time, the Salvation Army has spread over 50 countries around the world and setting up churches and social work programs. So 35,000 people attended his funeral because of the huge impact that he created by his Salvation Army. So this is about his life. So what he did, and what made him to help the poverty. So the promise that he made, as well as the needy poor, the poverty people, the people that he helped, and all those things is a major achievements or major part of his life. So this is about William Booth. So I have some questions about the things like, So what is a promise that Booth made to God? So which changed his entire life that he lived?
All William Booth is of God. But I didn't remember exact sentence, but that is the meaning.
That's right, brother. So God shall have all there is of William Booth. So whatever he possesses, like, so it is to God. So that is his promise that he has made. And what was the name given to Booth's wife after she died?
The army mother or the mother army something.
Right, sister. So it is Army Mother. So what was the earlier name of Salvation Army?
Christian mission.
That's right, brother. So what is the name of book that Booth published?
England and Way Out.
Sorry, sister. I think you have broken in middle.
England and The Way Out.
Right, sister. So finally, what is the name of the factory that he created, aiming to make a good understanding for the businessman?
Lights in darkness.
Yeah, brother. So Darkest England and The Way Out. Yeah, thanks, brother. So thank you everyone.